Every year there's always that one week where a ton of random upsets happen, and that was definitely last week. So many games went in crazy directions, and I still don't know who's actually good or not. Last week wasn't great as they only went 7-7, bringing my total record on the season to 48, 29, and 1. But I did get my first exact score prediction in the Panthers-Dolphins game, so that's cool. In this video, I'll be predicting every week 6 game with score predictions. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Subscribe takes just a second and it really helps me out. Thank you, and let's get started. Denver Broncos versus New York Jets. 2008 Lions, 2017 Browns. Step aside because we've got a new shiny piece of dog shit to take your place. The New York Jets fell to 0-5 last week and became the first ever NFL team to not have a single defensive takeaway in their first 5 games. Aaron Glenn was supposed to turn this defense into a brick wall, but instead it's now handing out personal invites to every offense in the league to come score 30 points on them. And their own offense doesn't do shit for 3 quarters, and then when the game is already well out of reach, they finally decided to look somewhat competent in the 4th. We genuinely might be looking at the first ever 0-17 team. The Broncos handed the Eagles their first loss of the season, and unlike the Jets, they came alive in the 4th quarter when it actually mattered, scoring 18 unanswered points to make Philly fans cry Eagles cry. Bo Nix balled out and the defense held Philly's run game to just 45 yards. Also, Nick Bonito genuinely deserves DPOY conversation because this guy has been insane this year. This is an easy pick. I'm taking the Broncos 30-13. I don't know anybody who is actually getting up early to watch this game, but at least we all know what the outcome will be. Arizona Cardinals versus Indianapolis Colts. Okay, let me get the Colts section out of the way real quick so we can talk about the Cardinals. Colts, great win. Daniel Jones continues to be great and Jonathan Taylor is elite. Good job. Anyway, Cardinals. Would you mind telling me what in the actual ever-loving shit did I just watch? 28-3? Nah. 33-0? Nope. This was the worst loss I've ever seen. The Cardinals were up 21-6 to the Titans. Then, Kyler Murray got ball blasted in the face, leading to a fumble, which apparently concussed the entire goddamn team, because they then proceeded to do the dumbest play in football, fumbling the ball on the 1-yard line out of the back of the end zone. Why do players keep doing this? And if that bullshittery wasn't enough, they then proceeded to pick off Cam Ward, drop the pick, have the football roll into the end zone, and let it get recovered in the end zone for a touchdown by, of all people, Tyler goddamn Lockett. And we're still not done because after doing nothing on offense, they proceeded to let Cam Ward have the best drive of his career, and then Joey Sly, who, mind you, has been hot steamy ass cheeks this season, kicked the game-winning field goal to give the Tennessee Titans, a team that was coming off a 26-0 shutout, and a team that their own quarterback describes simply as ass, their first win of the season. Colts win 44-6. I don't care if that's an unrealistic score prediction. It's funny, and the Cardinals are a joke, so I'm gonna do it. Los Angeles Chargers versus Miami Dolphins. And the Chargers have officially started doing the Charger thing. Clearly Madison Beer isn't working hard enough because Justin Herbert has gone from an MVP candidate back to if man within the span of 2 weeks. The Chargers are still somehow leading their division, but they really should be 5-0 or at least 4-1 right now. Amari and Hampton getting hurt certainly isn't helping things, and the O-line cannot sustain any more injuries. But hey, at least they aren't the 1-4 Dolphins who blew a 17-point lead to the Panthers and are now the only team this season to make Xavier Legette look like a competent receiver. Tua did the Tua thing where he played good for the entire game except for when it actually mattered, and the defense allowed 200 yards to Rico Dowdle. This is a get-right game for the Chargers. I'm taking them 27-20. Even with the injuries, this team is infinitely more talented than the Dolphins, and just please stop charging it for 1 week. New England Patriots versus New Orleans Saints. Okay, so Tom Brady is back and he's mobile now. The league is royally screwed. Drake May might have had the best 0 touchdown performance of all time. He absolutely carved up the Bills defense and made some ridiculous plays. Stephon Diggs went from drug dealing on a boat to putting up 150 yards on his former team, and their defense was the first to hold the Bills to under 30 points this season. The Patriots are a genuinely good team, and they could definitely compete for a playoff spot. The Saints got their first win over the Giants, mostly due to Jackson Dart committing 3 turnovers, but Spencer Rattler continues to not suck, which is honestly pretty surprising. However, this game won't be too close. I'm taking New England 30-19. The Patriots are on an absolute tear right now, and they are really looking like dark horse contenders in the AFC. Cleveland Browns versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, Dylan Gabriel got his first start last week in London and actually played pretty well. He wasn't asked to do too much, but he was efficient, and the loss to Minnesota was definitely not on him. But Judkins also looks really good, and the Browns Browns seem to have finally found a good young backfield. The Steelers were on bye last weekend and in Week 4 beat Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf had a great connection, and Kenneth Gainwell emerged out of nowhere to have a great game. I do think this will be low scoring, but I'm taking Pittsburgh 20-17. Their defense has really come on as of late, and I trust A-Rod a bit more than Gabriel right now. Dallas Cowboys versus Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young can never have a normal game, can he? I still don't actually know if he's good or not, because in the first quarter, he committed 2 awful turnovers and then played amazing the rest of the game, leading the Panthers to the comeback win. But he definitely didn't do it alone though. Rico Dowdle, the Panthers' backup running back, came out of absolutely nowhere to run for 206 yards, by far the most in a single game this season. And now he gets to go against his former team in the Cowboys, so he might actually break 300. The Cowboys are a legitimately good team though. They still have some defensive problems, but their offense, even without CeeDee Lamb, seems unstoppable. I think this game could genuinely go either way, but I am taking the Cowboys 33-24. Like I said, their offense is just so good right now, and I don't quite think the Panthers can keep up if it comes to a shootout. Seattle Seahawks versus Jacksonville Jaguars. If I came to you before the season and said that the Seahawks versus Jaguars in Week 6 was going to be the game of the week, you'd probably think I was on crack. Instead, this entire NFL season is on crack, and Seahawks versus Jaguars in Week 6 is going to be the game of the week. The Seahawks lost in a close one to the Bucs, but Sam Darnold played really well, and JSN continues to be insane. The Jags managed to beat the Chiefs, and Trevor Lawrence literally scored on a touchdown after falling on his ass, which would have been the funniest touchdown of the week if it wasn't for, you know. Anyway, this is going to be an elite game, and I could honestly see either team coming out here with a win, but I do think the Seahawks get it done 30-28. Again, both of these teams are really good, but I think Seattle has a slightly better offense, and I do trust Donald a bit more than Lawrence right now. Los Angeles Rams versus Baltimore Ravens. Coming into the year, the Ravens were projected to have one of the best defenses in the league, but through 5 weeks, they have by far the worst. They've allowed upwards of 37 points in all but one of their games. Injuries and bad play calling have decimated this unit, and with Lamar Jackson out, the offense isn't looking any better. They need to get healthy and soon, or they're gonna miss the playoffs. The Rams lost an unfortunate one to Mac Jones and the 49ers. They got down early, and a few turnovers on offense didn't help things. But Matthew Stafford continues to play at an extremely high level, and he has easily been a top 5 QB this season. I think the Rams take this one 37-16. I just don't see how the Ravens defense stopped this Rams offense, and Cooper Rush certainly isn't doing anything to help matters. Tennessee Titans versus Las Vegas Raiders. I've already talked about all the bullshit that led to the Titans winning that game against the Cardinals, so I'm not going to repeat myself, but bottom line is, the Titans really did not deserve to win that game. I do think Cam Ward had his best game of the year, but if it wasn't for the Cardinals having a generational collapse, Tennessee would be 0-5 right now. The Raiders aren't doing much better though. They just lost by 34 to the Colts, and Geno Smith continues to be one of the worst QBs in the NFL, leading the league in interceptions with 9 in just 5 games. At least Ashton Genty looks good. Neither of these teams deserve to win this game, but I do have to pick someone, so I'll take the Raiders 21-17. Geno is probably going to throw some more picks, but the Titans are still genuinely awful, and I think Genty and Max Crosby can carry this team to a victory. Cincinnati Bengals versus Green Bay Packers. After 3 weeks of Jake Browning playing like a blind koala, the Bengals decided to trade for a quarterback. Unfortunately, they brought in the only quarterback in the league that's actually worse than Jake Browning, and that's 40-year-old Joe Flacco. I don't know whose bright idea it was to bring in someone who literally can't move, but Joe Flacco is going to die behind this O-line. At least Jamar Chase and T. Higgins might actually do something this season. The Packers were on bye last week and tied with the Cowboys in Week 4. Their defense showed some serious weakness, but their offense is one of the best in the league, and Jordan Love is playing some great football. Considering Flacco's only win this season is against the Packers, it would be really funny and honestly fitting for this season if he could beat him again, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm taking the Packers 31-14. Micah Parsons is going to decapitate the old geezer, and this should be an easy Green Bay victory. San Francisco 49ers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, it's not a fluke at this point. Mac Jones is actually a good quarterback. He went into LA with a bunch of Walmart grocery baggers at wide receiver and put up a 342-yard, 2-touchdown masterclass. Kendrick Bourne came back from the dead to have 142 yards, and at times I couldn't tell if I was watching Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne or Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. But an even better connection has formed between Baker Mayfield and Emeka Egbuka, who I will literally take a bullet for because those two have been hard carrying my fantasy team. Baker had arguably the best game of his career against the Seahawks, throwing for 379 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, and an 87.9 completion percentage. Egbuka hauled in 163 of those yards as well as a touchdown. I'm taking Tampa to move to 5-1 with a 34-24 win. The Bucs offense is absolutely insane, and I do think this is finally the time Mac Jones suffers his first loss of the season. Detroit Lions versus Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs got Bundarooski bitch slapped in the balls by the Jags, and they're now 2-3 and in 3rd place in the AFC West, which I don't think anyone saw coming. coming. They still gotta get the run game going, and their defense allowed Trevor Lawrence to fall down, get back up, and score a touchdown. These are not the same Kansas City Chiefs we're used to. These are the same Detroit Lions we're used to, however, as they got a pretty comfortable win over the Bengals that was not nearly as close as the final score indicates. However, I actually do think the Chiefs pull this one off at home 27-24. I think this partly because this NFL season has been insane, partly because there's no way we live in a timeline where the Chiefs are 2-4, and partly because I think Spags can cook up a good game plan for the Lions playmakers. But mostly the first two. Buffalo Bills versus Atlanta Falcons. Bills finally lost the game this season, getting beat by the Patriots on Sunday night. I think the Patriots really exposed some problems in the Bills' defense that need to be cleaned up, and the offense also had its worst game of the season. But the Patriots are a good team, and I don't really think any less of the Bills than I did before. The Falcons were on bye last week, but before that, they had a great win over the Commanders. Michael Penix had a huge bounce back after getting shut out in week 3, and the Falcons have seemed to figure things out on offense. But I am taking Buffalo to get this win 30-26. The Falcons defense still isn't very good, and while I think they can compete with the Bills, they won't be able to stop them. Chicago Bears versus Washington Commanders. Jane Daniels is back and he looks better than ever. He led the Commanders to victory over the Chargers and made some really impressive throws. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had a huge breakout game with 150 total yards and 2 touchdowns, and I think he's going to be the featured back going forward. The Bears were on bye last week, but in week 4 beat the Raiders after blocking a game-winning field goal attempt. The offense sputtered a bit, but the defense made up for it with 3 interceptions, including 2 by Kevin Byard, who, yes, is still playing. Last time these two teams played, the Commanders won in a Hail Mary that sent the Bears season out of control, and while I don't think that happens in this game, I do think the Commanders get the win 27-21. I think they're just a much better team all around, and with the Eagles faltering, the Commanders could easily make a push for the NFC East title. But that's it. Those are my Week 6 NFL predictions. Where do you agree? Or do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya!